So today I'm going to show you guys how I went from this old yucky cover of a seat into this beautiful new seat cover that's going to totally revitalize my antique chairs, which I've had for 5 years, and I don't know why it's taken me 5 years to recover them, but it has. So here are the things you're going to need in order to do a recover of a very basic, simple seat. You're going to need some pins. I'm using safety pins because I cannot find my stick pins, but safety pins will work for this job because it's not really that complicated. You're going to need some foam for the seat cushion for the cover or for the padding on your seat. You're going to need a fabulous swatch of fabric, upholstery fabric preferably, of course, because you're covering a seat, staple gun, scissors, a hammer in case you need to hammer in those staples a little further, a pliers to help take out whatever is holding these guys in. It's probably going to be some nails or some old staples, a puller of some sort to pry the staples or the nails out, and a marker, and of course a scissors. So when buying fabric for recovering anything, this is what I do because of course you guys know I'm thrifty. That's kind of the theme of our thrifty cottage, but this is what I do. I'll go to a fabric store. I don't have any smaller fabric stores here. I only have a chain that I went to in Victoria. It's called Fabricland, and I found this amazing fabric right here. I just love it so much because it's so Victorian, it's old world. I love rustic, I love old world furniture. Although I redo furniture, I don't think I have any piece in our house that I've actually redone where I've painted or I've stripped or anything like that because I love that old rustic look of furniture. I love the medieval look. So what I did is I went to Fabricland, and because I'm thrifty, I go to their discount section, and usually the bigger fabric stores will have bulk discount sections where the companies where they get their fabric from will send them end of the rolls, you know, a few extra meters that are left at the end of the roll, and then that store will sell it at a discounted price. So for this is a really great fabric. Originally, they had it marked at $15 a meter. I got it for I think it was $8 a meter, so it was a really great deal. So make sure you check out the deals that there are at the fabric stores because there always are. And if there's something that'll go with your taste, why wouldn't you do that, right? Like, why spend a fortune? So, and when I pick out fabric as well, because I've got such an eclectic taste, all of my stuff still matches though. I believe with the decorating your home, buy things you love. Now, I've had people come into our home and say, oh my God, Vanessa, everything's so beautiful. I'd love for you to come and pick out stuff from my home. And what I say to them is, what do you love? Usually the things that you love are within the same sort of scheme or design. You know, they all kind of stick together anyway, or the same color line. So, you know, just think of what you love and put that in your home. Your home should be filled with things that make you happy. And that's exactly what I do here. So in our home, we have a lot of browns, we have blacks, we have lots of gold and some red and burgundy. So it worked out really well that I actually found a fabric that encompasses all those things. And my gosh, I love it so much. Okay, so the first thing that I do is, of course, buying foam for your seat. I try to get something that is similar thickness to what originally was on here because these seats actually fit into, it goes right into the chair. And so I don't want to have it too bulky on the sides where it won't slide into the chair. So I wanted to make sure I got the foam that was similar-ish in thickness what this would have originally been. Now, of course, it's like flat as flat can be because it's an ancient, but I wanted to make sure I got it similar thickness. So that's kind of the little hint on the foam. Okay, the first thing you do is you want to get this backing off of here. And this is where these little pry bars come in really handy. You could use probably a screwdriver as well, just to pry out some of these little nails. Now these are upholstery nails. These guys hurt like the dickens because they are so super pointy. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pry them out. And be careful when you take them out. Always have a little collecting area. I just have a garbage can right beside me here for putting these things in because they hurt like the dickens. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go all the way around. I'm gonna pry these out and then show you what the next step is from there. So I've taken all the white backing off of the seat, and as you can see right here, I still have to get all of the original seat cover off. And I'm just going to continue the same process of prying all the way along the outside to get this cover off. And be careful as you're doing this because we're actually going to use the original material on the seat as our pattern for our new material. Sometimes when you redo furniture, you find the coolest things. In this guy, you can see it's imprinted on the wood. They actually had a newspaper underneath the padding, and this newspaper is from 1980, so that's the last time this set of chairs has been recovered, was in 1980. So kind of a cool little treasure sometimes you find, little archivey things. Now this is a foam that was originally used. You can see how worn it is. It is like so thin. So we're definitely gonna have a little bit more foam on here, a little more padding. So I'm gonna discard of the original foam, but I am gonna keep, of course, my seat. And here is the material it was originally covered in. I'm gonna use this as a pattern for cutting out my material later. But first, I'm actually gonna cut the foam. And I'm gonna use my original seat for that. Because these chairs are pretty simple to recover, I just need to outline my seat, cut it out, and that'll be the foam for covering my seat. So it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my marker right onto my foam. I'm gonna trace out the seat. And cut it out. Now make sure when you're buying your material and your foam that you buy enough for everything you need to cover. What I did with my seats was I took them out of the chairs and I measured them, measured the outside of them, took them to the fabric store, and I consulted with the lady in the upholstery department because she knows how much more material I would need to get in order to cover my seats. Okay, so there's my foam. Next step will be to trace out on my material my original pattern that was used for these seats. Here's my material. Lay that out. So make sure you want to check your print of your material as well before you start cutting to make sure that it's going the right direction for you, for I guess for the pattern that you like for your seats, because you want them all the same. Let's see here. Okay. The way I want my pattern to go. My material will work out with me. There we go. Okay. Take all of my gear here. Straighten everything out. My pins. Now I would use head pins. Normally I would use head pins for this, but I don't have any. I don't know where my head pins went. They disappeared somewhere along the road here. So what I'm going to do is lay out my pattern. And I'm going to secure it with head pins so it doesn't move. There you go, my pattern's all laid out. Now I'm just gonna take my marker and I'm gonna trace along the outside of my original pattern onto the back of my material. Make sure it's on the back of your material. Definitely not on the front, because you don't want marker or chalk pencil or anything like that showing up on your final product when you're done. Okay. And there's the pattern for my chair. I'm going to cut it out along the marker line. Now, if you have a material that's got like a frayed fringe edge like this, it has a double stitching on it so it doesn't fray anymore, just make sure that when you do your pattern, it's above that frayed edge so you don't have an issue with covering. And there I have my cut up material for my pattern. Move all my other stuff out of the way here. Flip it over again. Okay. Now I'm going to center my padding and my seat back onto the brand new material. Make sure it's centered so I've got enough give in every direction here. Make sure it's straight and centered, I guess I should say. Grab my hammer in case I need it. So when you're taking out your staples or your upholstery nails, get them all out, because you don't want, first of all, it affecting the quality of your covering job, but you also don't want to be poking your hands. Those things are so pointy. Watch for the length of staples or nails you're going to be using when you put them back in. You don't want them to be too long that they actually go through your wood and then they're poking into the bottom of people who are sitting on the chairs. That's no fun either. Okay. So I'm going to start with folding the bottom up and pulling it nice and tight. I'm going to check to make sure first of all I'm going to have enough, and I do, enough room to pull on all my sides. And I'm just going to throw a staple in there. Pull tight. Staple. Pull tight. Staple. Pull tight. Now you don't need an electric staple gun for this. Tony just likes electric staple guns. I don't know. I have a regular one too. I guess this one's easier on the hands. Now you can see a couple of the staples didn't go down all the way. Just going to finish by hammering them down. There we go. And I'm going to continue to the other side. Pull tight. Staple again. Pull tight. Staple. Pull tight. Now I'm going to go to my corners and I'm going to tuck them. This is, as I said, this is an easier cover. It's not complicated. And not all of them are going to tuck so nicely when you have, when you're recovering. This one is like wrapping a present. So I'm pretty lucky with how this one's going to turn out. Throw a staple in there. I'm going to go down to the bottom one and do the same thing. Make sure it gives me a nice corner and a nice even pull of the material. Again, pull. So it's nice and tight on there. Take a peek, looking good. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Tuck this, so I've got a nice corner on there. Pull, staple. And I'm definitely not a professional upholsterer, but this will definitely do the job for these chairs because they are a simple cover. And there we go. It is covered. Pretty simple, right? I don't feel any staples coming through my wood, which is good because we don't want staples in our butts. And we will just slide them into the chair then. And that's it, guys. It's a pretty simple cover. It looks pretty, and I don't know if I can get a shot. Maybe I'm gonna see if I can get a shot of the chairs. The chairs are old, which is what I love. And I will just slide the little cover or little seat back in there. Voila, it's done. That's a tutorial on how to cover easy chair seats. I hope you guys give it a try. If I can do it, anybody can do it.